But I walked away from that day going, okay, I will not cut off my nose to spite my face. Like, this guy has gotten me through a lot of projects. How can I make this work better for him and for me? And I decided it was that I needed to take a little bit more of a back seat and not micromanage and not show up so much. I trust them. I know they're going to do what they need to do in the time. If he tells me he has a 4-week deadline, I know it's a 6-week deadline. I'm not going to stress it 4 weeks. I know it's 6 weeks. Like, I just had to take a step back and go, okay, how can I make this work for both of us?
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/061. Today we have Gayle Hicks on the line. Gayle has had quite the journey. She's gone from not even owning her own pizza cutter and sitting at her old job and crying all day to owning a investment company that's not only completely supporting herself, but she's thriving. She's living in abundance. She's done over 60 flips already in her short real estate investing career. So I'm excited to share her story with you and some of the lessons that she's learned along the way. Before we get going on that, a couple of public service announcements. Just go to doorstodeals.com/061 for more resources and more information on how we can help you. If you're in St. Louis and you need some cash for some deals, we have over $20 million at our disposal. If you are trying to wholesale a deal, we'd love to buy it from you. And also we can help you package and put together deals that quite frankly, I would have thought were dead just a couple of years ago with some of the advanced strategies that we're doing. So, and then finally, for the agents on the call, we really help people go from $2 million to $10 million in sales volume and help unlock investing and unlock financial freedom for agents as well. So make sure you go to doorstodeals.com/061 for more information on these great resources that we have available. So no more talk for me. Let's get started on the episode. All right, guys. Hey, we have Gayle here, Gayle Hicks. And Gayle, why don't you kind of give us a quick little background as far as where your business is at and just kind of tell us just a quick background of your story.
Okay, I flip houses mainly in North County.
Okay.
Right now I have about 4 in Florissant. I think as of today, without looking at my whiteboard, I probably have 12 houses. I was working with 4 different crews, but I'm putting my business through a little sifter right now and going to narrow it down to probably 2.
Okay.
Just because I don't feel like I'm on the exact same page with the other 2. I've sold 14 houses so far this year. My goal was to flip 25, and I have under contract to purchase or have sitting right now, that. So I've met my goal. I put my 25th house under contract this year in June. I sold 1 last week. I'm selling 1 this week, and I'm buying 2 next week. And that's what you do. I am very blessed to have an amazing tribe of people that surround me. Without them, it couldn't happen.
And how long have you been in?
I bought my first house in February of 2019, and I was going to be a landlord. And I have 0 rental properties, and I flipped that house. And I bought my second house within the put under contract February 2019, and it was a 10-day close. And within that 10 days, I bought my second one. And that's when things changed. I thought I would be a landlord. I was in a miserable marriage. So I had a 6-year plan that I would probably end my marriage when my son graduated from high school. And I thought I will start attaining rentals. And I owned a plumbing company. So I'll start attaining rentals. And once, the time comes, I can hopefully take the rentals. He can take the plumbing company, and we'll all live happily ever after. But then I saw the second house on Facebook and called the guy, and had enough money to purchase these 2 houses for cash, and said, I'd love to purchase this house. And he said, what do you want to do with it? And I said, I'm going to be a landlord. And he said, do you know anything about being a landlord? Absolutely not. I don't. And he asked a lot of questions, and I kind of thought this guy's kind of nosy. Like, where do you live? What do you do? How long have you lived there? What kind of business do you own? How's your business structured? And I thought, dang, I'm just trying to buy a house here. And then he told me he was a mentor in real estate, and he taught a class, and would I be willing to meet him? So I met him, and 9 months later, I left my marriage. And since that date, I counted about 2 months ago, I was on house number 58. So I'm confident in saying since February of 2019, I am flipping or have flipped over 60 houses, and I am not a landlord. And I have completely changed my life.
Okay, so take me back to there's a little bit of a backdrop there. So take me back to you owned a plumbing company. You were in a marriage that you kind of
was miserable.
That was miserable. And you like what was the reason why you wanted to get into real estate in the first place? Was it just as simple as a way for you guys to go
I knew
separate
absolutely
ways?
nothing about real estate, nothing. Yeah. But I knew that I had been married for over 20 years, and outside of our plumbing company, I did not work. I was a mom. And I was a stay-at-home wife, and I perfected that job. And I couldn't imagine how I was going to leave this marriage and support myself. And, I was accustomed to not really having to clock in or sit in a cubicle. And so at my age, that's not something I was really excited about doing. And also, I didn't want to change my lifestyle. Like, I wanted everything to be the same. And we lived a decent lifestyle. So I couldn't imagine how I would do that. So I just thought, everybody says you can make money being a landlord. That's what I'll do. And so I knew nothing about it, nothing at all. I just knew I did plumbing work, and we would go in and work on investment properties. And it seemed like it would check off a couple of those boxes. And there was enough money to buy one or two, North County cheap rentals. Maybe I could have my plumbing guys do the work on the side, and I thought I could figure it out.
Gotcha. So then you got into real estate. And
I purchased that property. Then I met my mentor, and he was like, let me show you a different way. Instead of being a landlord, how about if you flipped houses? That was, even though I did plumbing work on those houses, or my company did, that was not really anything I ever thought about. And the first time I met him, he said, what do you want? What do you want, out of this? And I was really taken off guard. Like, I remember thinking, I'm a mom and I'm a wife. People don't ask me what I want. They ask me what I can do for them. And now somebody was asking me what I wanted. And I kind of sat dumbfounded. And he said, do you want to be debt free? And I said, yes, I want to be debt free. That sounds great. And he said, do you want to be successful? Oh, I didn't even know this was a two. First he said, what else do you want? And I thought, oh my God, I didn't know it was a two-part question. And so I waited again. And he said, do you want to be successful? And I said, yes, that sounds great. I would love to be successful. And then he said, okay, you have to act with the utmost of integrity. And if you don't act with the utmost of integrity, I won't work with you. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not even 100% sure what that word means. Like, I think I know, but he says I got to have 100%. And if I don't know 100%, I might screw this up. I literally left there and got in my car and Googled integrity, because I needed to make sure I knew what this meant. And so I sat with him. I think I met him at the house I wanted to buy. He said, the house is yours, and how are we going to pay for it? I said, I can pay cash. And he said, well, how about if I finance it for you? And I thought, what in the world? Where did this guy come from? And he says, yeah, it's always better to use other people's money, because that way you have your money. You can pay for the rehab. This was all a complete and total foreign concept. And that was a house in Bissell Hills. And that was the first place I met him. That weekend, I went and sat in a conference room in a title office with him for, I think, 4 or 5 hours. And there it began. And not only did I learn about real estate, but I learned how to change my life, a positive mindset. I have completely and totally put my life through a sifter many times. And there is nothing in my life today that is the same as it was prior to that phone call.
Wow.
9 months later, I left my husband with a Escalade that had 200,000 miles on it. I was $15,000 upside down on it, and $30,000 basically my clothes and my son, because that's how bad I wanted out, that I was willing to leave everything that I had worked for 25 years and start over again. I had no idea how I was going to make this happen. I had been doing real estate for 9 months, but I had my struggles. But I knew the man that was mentoring me. He told me he will always honor his word. And he told me he would make sure I was successful. And I believed in him more than I believed in me. And I continued to believe in him until I learned how to believe in me.
So talk me through what integrity means to you now.
I honor my word. There's one thing I'm slacking on that's really bothering me, so I'm going to work on that. I'm not the greatest when somebody wants to send me a property, like, I don't want it, I don't respond. And I think that's really shitty. So I'm working on that. So I'm lacking integrity in that department. But like, you honor your word. You show up when you're supposed to. You do what you say you're going to do. I'm not going to nickel and dime people to death. I'm real. I'm honest. I'm transparent. I'm going to show up when I need to. A verbal agreement's an agreement. Do what you say you're going to do. Do what you need to do when you need to do it. Be a decent human.
And
don't back out on deals.
And believe it or not, that is a differentiator to run your business on, right? There's just a lot of people that don't do that. So.
Yeah, people will always say to me, how do you find all your houses? How do you find? I don't ever look for houses, really, knock on wood. I develop relationships with people. I do what I'm saying I'm going to do. I don't back out. I don't act like an asshole. And people love that. And they just come to you and they send you deals and they show up. And, when you do what you're supposed to do, the right people show up in the right time. And I'll say, I don't really know a lot about real estate. I just keep showing up and it just keeps happening. My biggest struggle was on my first 2 properties. I went through 13 contractors. But I found some guys at Home Depot, they were random people. And that was my biggest struggle. And I've definitely overcome that. I actually have contractors that will message me and say, we'd love to give you bids, we'd love to work with you. And I'm like, I don't have all the rehab money for that, so we can't make that happen right now. But that is definitely not my struggle today.
So, okay, so when you started the mentor, and Sean's your mentor, he's been on podcast before. So that was the foundational piece was integrity. And then when you didn't believe, you borrowed his belief. Was there anything else that helped kind of get you over the hurdle and actually put into doing deals? What do you think?
Facing your fears. And, you got to face your fears to live your dreams and just do what's right. When you're ready, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. And you just keep doing it over and over again. I know one thing that I'm really big on. I just did a rehab with a friend of mine, and she had said, the biggest thing I learned from you is don't sweat the small stuff. In the big scheme of life, this is just one little drop in the bucket. And if you jump into real estate and you don't make it, so what? You do it again. If you fall down 7 times, you get up 8. You don't give up. You just do it. And it kills me when you see the same people over and over again in a networking event or this, or they've paid this guru and that guru, but they haven't yet done a deal. Just go do the deal. Just do it. You're going to learn more from doing it than all the investigation work. I knew nothing at all. And I jumped in with both feet and I did it. And I'm still doing it. And my entire life is completely different. I'm divorced now officially. It took a while, but I was holding on to that just because of financial reasons. But I actually, my salary can match or maybe exceed the plumbing companies. And I stayed for a really long time because I didn't know how I would support myself. And now there's nothing financially, there's nothing different in my world. It's actually better.
So how does that make you feel, making this transition, kind of being supporting yourself fully? And
I don't give myself credit like I should. And sometimes I just have to sit down and go, okay, how much money do you have on the street right now? And, it's been a learning process. So I will have been out on my own for 2 years in December. So it hasn't even been 2 years yet. And it felt really great to leave there and go out and buy $12,000 worth of furniture and household stuff. Like I didn't even have a pizza cutter. And I also went to trade in my white Escalade after I paid it off. I went to trade that in and I was going to buy a new black one. And instead I bought a red Jeep. So I'm building a house right now. So it feels great. And people will tell me sometimes like, oh, we want to be you, or one day we're going to do this. And that feels really weird because I just go, that's weird. Like, I'm just me. I'm just out here doing it. I'm making it happen. Why do you want to be me? And then if I take a really deep breath and I look back and I go, yeah, I used to sit at my table filling out plumbing invoices and cried every day. And now if someone asks me if I'm happy, I already know my answer before you ask. And that is yes, I am happy all the way to my core, and my life is rich in all the ways that I desire. And 2 years ago, I would not have told you that. I would have told you I was freaking miserable and I saw no light at the end of my tunnel.
So what has been like, as you got into real estate, what has, do you have any deals that have really been mistakes, or you've lost money on, or?
Well, I was hoping you weren't going to ask that, because I actually just lost money on my first deal last week, out of 60 plus houses. And I had a lot, and I'm taught by my mentor that you don't do partnerships, which was a partnership and wasn't. I purchased the house. She was funding the rehab and going to manage it, because I was at the time had 12 other houses going in four crews. And so it seemed like a good idea. And I learned that I need to manage my own rehabs. So not much money was lost. I think I personally lost $1,700. But that is the first time I have lost money on a deal. And just things like I would have done totally different. Like, I didn't need that, which is going to end up being a rental for Lindenwood. We didn't need a gooseneck pull down faucet, and we didn't need a ceramic tile. And I had kind of expressed those things, but she was running the rehab, and I wanted to maintain my friendship. But I learned a very valuable lesson, and that is that I need to manage my own rehabs. And that lesson only cost me $1,700.
So when you manage your rehabs, what's your process? Like, what do you go through when you?
Well, actually, I operate a lot on gut instinct. So I don't have spreadsheets. I don't even know how to make a spreadsheet. Today, my son had to show me how to open this up, and he said something about a browser, and I said, "Is that the little E at the bottom?" And I thought he was going to fall over. Like, I am so technically challenged. I have a whiteboard, and I walk into a house and I basically look around and I go on my gut instinct. I know basically now, how much systems are going to cost me, how much cabinets are going to cost me, but I just operate a lot on gut instinct. And, my mentor was great and taught me a lot of things. I know that I am never going to live there. And I know that if I'm selling to an investor, he's not going to get $1 more rent for a nicer light fixture. And I'm not going to get $1 more for that sale. Now I kind of switched over to retail with the market, but at first I was going straight to investors. So, but those are things like in that rental, it's right by Lindenwood, the house we just sold. It's going to end up being a Lindenwood rental, and we didn't need a pull down gooseneck faucet and ceramic tile. We didn't need to put $10,000 in siding on it, but I still have my friend, and I lost $1,700, and I learned a very valuable lesson.
So the business model you started out doing was you were buying and doing selling to turnkey investors.
Yes, buying very cheap, 15 to 25 is what he would say. Put 10 in it / really 15, and then turn around and sell it. The goal was always to make $10,000, which doesn't seem a lot, but if you're doing that a couple times a month and you're a girl that's never had a job, or even, that's more than most people make. So that's really not what I do now. I remember the day I wanted to buy a house that was definitely more like I was buying 10, 25, maybe 30,000. I wanted to buy a house in St. Anne, and I think it was maybe 65 or 75,000. And I thought, oh my God, there's no way he's gonna be okay with this. And it was like calling my dad and, asking him to give me a loan. And I was right by the Mills Mall on Highway 370. And I just texted him and said, whenever you have a chance, give me a call. My phone rang right away. And I was like, oh God, here we go. So I said, I want to do something a little bit different. It's kind of outside the box. And he was like, okay, let's hear it. And I said, I'm going to ask you to believe in me. Remember that one time when you didn't have any money and you went into the bank and you said this? And he was like, yeah. I said, okay, well, that's what I need from you. And I'm going to ask you to believe in me. And I'd like to buy this house in St. Anne. I'd like you to lend on it. And it's, 65 or 75,000. And he said, that's not what I taught you. And I said, I know. And he said, okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And at this point, I still don't believe in me. I still lack confidence, but I'm willing to go a little bit outside my box, just like I'm showing up here today. And now, I think the most expensive house I bought is probably about 170. Really, I'd like to stay between 50 and 100, but if a great deal shows up, why not? And he believed in me that one time, and I really didn't, but I thought we're going to see what we can do here. And we did it. And I just sold the house in St. Anne. I sold one in St. John. I have one in Overland. I think I have 4 maybe in Florissant. And that was amazing. I went outside the box. And on those houses, my goal is usually to make, for one, I would just rather go to those areas. I know my guys would rather work in those areas. And I'm trying to make, 25, 30, maybe 40 on those houses.
So when your plumbing company, were you primarily up in North County?
We worked everywhere.
You guys were everywhere? Okay.
Yeah.
And so really, the focus on these type of price points and the turnkeys was really more just out of the relationship with the mentor saying, hey, I think this is niche for you.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's what he teaches. That's the Sean Greaves method.
Okay. So what I like about this guy, so there's a couple things, if I can just kind of put my coach's hat on, so to speak, there's a couple things about this. Okay. So the first part on it is there's that saying that there's riches in the niches. Okay. So the first thing that I love about what she's sharing with us is the deal flow, the volume she was able to do, that Gayle's able to do. And a big part of that is just sticking to one specific thing. Okay. And mastering that first. And then at that point, okay, I got this down. Now maybe it's time to bump up my price point and try out a couple different things. So there's hundreds of ways, thousands of ways, maybe even, to make money in real estate, right? And it doesn't matter, just because what works for Gayle doesn't necessarily mean what works for you, but the principle behind it of focusing on a specific thing, I think that's really what is the most important thing. Like, there are people here in our area that don't go, there's an investor that I don't think goes below 400,000. That's been doing this for 20 plus years. And she does really, really well. And she tries to make 100,000 on every deal she does. She does a far less volume, right? So there's not the key is within the niche and identifying like who you are, what you want to do, and sticking to it. So Gayle, I really want to commend you on that. That's amazing.
I often say, like, stay in your lane, like just stay in your lane. I once tried to, I did negotiate a deal directly with the homeowner. It took me down this crazy path, man. I was over there eating dinner with her, helping her pack, taking her to the grocery store. And it consumed me. I got very emotionally involved. I also had a really hard time getting rid of that house. I know going into a homeowner's home and negotiating with them, that is not my lane. That's not what I want to do. And at one point, people had said to me, like, you would make more money if you find your own deals. You would make more money if you do this. I like people to sell my deals. I don't always like to do that. I don't like all those phone calls to deal with that. Unless it's a regular buyer that I have. And I have to point out, like, everybody needs to eat. There's plenty of bread for everybody. I don't need to hoard it all. I'm not greedy. And if this person that helps me out can make a little bit of money, and this person can find my houses, and this person can sell my houses, like, we're all in it together. We're a team. Even though they don't work for me, like, we're a team. We're a tribe. And I have a lane, and my lane is I make the purchase. I decide on the acquisitions. I hire the guys. I tell the guys what I want, and I delegate. That's what I do. I worked on about my first 6 houses. The first one was a hoarder house. Oh my God, the bathroom, you needed a hazmat suit to do that. Like, I actually cleaned that bathroom myself. And for about my first 6 houses, I showed up, I cleaned. I hate painting. I don't know why people want to paint, but basically I just stood around with a paintbrush in my hand. And then I was on my 6th house, and Sean called and said, "Where are you at?" It was my house in St. Anne. And I said, "I'm here." And he said, "What are you doing?" I was just holding up a wall. And I said, "I'm holding up a wall." Or I don't think I told him that. I told him I was painting or something. And he said, "Okay, I don't ever want to see you working on a house again, because you can't captain your ship when you're shoveling coal in your steam room." And I was like, "Oh, good. I'm not going to do this anymore." And so now I come to my properties, I check on them, I deliver money, and that's really about it. I walk them when I hire the contractor. I walk them when I come by and pay them on a weekly basis or whatever that is. And then when we're done, and I don't pick up a paintbrush, I don't clean them. I stay in my lane.
Okay, so does it come out to about once a week that you walk the properties?
Yeah, pretty much. Fridays is usually my day. But, if I hire somebody that is wants to be paid a third, and I have a project that's going to be done on Monday. So on Monday, I'm going to meet him there and we'll walk the property then. And sometimes if I just feel like going to work, because right now, really, my business does require very little of me. And so if I just feel like going, like, I might decide to go check and see how my grass looks. Do I need somebody to get over here and deal with my grass or something? But no, last week I was gone on Friday, so I had someone else come pick up checks and deliver them. But other than that, just, if I'm in the area and I feel like checking on something, I do. A lot of times it's when nobody's working, because they always want to tell me how to fix something, and they're going to go on and on and on and tell me how I can repair something. I don't know why, because I didn't ask, and I don't really want to know. I'm never gonna repair the garbage disposal. And so sometimes I'm like, I can just get in and out quicker and avoid that if I go like in the evening.
So how do you handle when the contractor's not upholding kind of your standards or what you want on the rehab? Hey guys, for those of you that are local to St. Louis, I wanted to make sure you knew about an amazing resource that we have to help do some extra deals. You can email our team at deals@3doors.com. And just so you know, we do deals with other investors all the time. Like, it's been hundreds and hundreds over the years, and we've averaged over 100 deals with other investors per year over the last 5 years. We can straight up buy the deal if you have a wholesale under contract that you want to sell. If you need funding to finance a flip, or like you're doing a BRRRR strategy, we have funding available for you. If you're trying to wholesale a deal, we're doing JV wholesale deals with other wholesalers that, quite frankly, some of the deals we're putting together for a beginner or an intermediate investor, they'd probably be walking away from, because we have systems and processes, and we have buyers in place that are paying top dollar for these properties. So make sure you use this resource. And the best way to get and the easiest way is to just send us an email, deals@3doors.com. All right, back to the episode. So how do you handle when the contractor's not upholding kind of your standards or what you want on the rehab?
I'm gonna grin and bear it usually. Like, I'm gonna point out to them, like, this is not something I'm gonna put my name on it. I'm gonna grin and bear it through this project, because I know there's a way we're going to get rid of it. There's multiple exit strategies. We're going to get rid of a project. I'm not gonna be stuck with the house, knock on wood. I'm gonna make it through this project, and then we're just not gonna work together again. My first 2 houses, I can't even tell you what happened there, because that was just so crazy. But I did go through 13 guys there, but I was paying them like basically on a daily basis. I had a few crackheads, had all kinds of stuff up in there. So we can't even count those 2. But after that, I'm going to walk the property with you. I'm going to tell you exactly what I want, or you've worked with me enough that you know what I want. And then we're going to make it happen. So recently I had a house in unincorporated St. Louis County, and these guys, I don't know what was happening, but we met them at a networking event, and they did a horrible job. Horrible. And, I came back and I was like, this is not the quality of work. Okay, just tell us what you want. Tell us what you want. Okay, we're going to go over this again. The house is done. I go back. I give them a list of 25 things. And I'm not picky. I want my stuff clean and just up to my standards. It's not the Taj Mahal, guys. And so it was done. They said, I made a list of 25 things. Why can I see 6-inch circle around the ceiling, around the light, and it's bright blue and the ceiling's painted white? This is not rocket science. So here's a list of 25 things that you didn't remove the plywood with a pile of dirt in the backyard. There was a dumpster, put it in these are things we already went over. So 25 things, they're done now. They're done again. I go back there. There was nothing on the list done. So needless to say, I just told them they stole my supplies and tried to sell them to a friend of mine. The ceiling was at one point flat white, and they had taken all my paint. And so they took semi-gloss and touched up the ceiling with semi-gloss. And I knew they had took my stuff, and I like to watch and see how things are going to play out. And so on this day when I called them and I said, hey, I'm back here, and there's the ceiling was touched up. That's it on the list of 25 things. And we'll be right over. So when they got over, I just very calmly said to them, let me educate you a little bit, but I paid for the supplies. That makes them mine. Okay, if it was in your bid and I paid you a bid for materials and labor, then you can own that stuff. But when I go and I purchase that stuff, I own it. And then you took it and then you tried to sell my flooring to somebody else. But if you would not have taken my paint, my ceiling wouldn't look like this. So let me help you out in your future. And, and this, we can't do this. We're not working together anymore. I need you to get your stuff, your tools out of here, and we're going to part ways. And I had already paid them, and the remaining, and it was worth it just to get rid of them. I still made money on the house, and but I did leave there that day, and I thought I cannot deal with this house anymore. Done, over. And it was not complete. Well, it wasn't complete to my standards. And I called my real estate agent, who's really a good friend of mine more than my agent. And I said, I can't deal with this house. It's done. It's over. I don't ever want to go back there again because it's really going to piss me off. And I'm trying to hold on to my peace. We need to get rid of it as is. And we actually sold it to a hedge fund, and I made about 15 grand on it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how I'm going to deal with you when you're my contractor and we don't work well together. So I was doing 4 crews, and one of them, it's just a little bit too slumlordish for my taste. Maybe a little bit more than a little. I can't have my name on that. So we're going to end after this house we're doing now. And then another one, I just feel like he's really nickel and diming me. And I'm not going to do that anymore either. So I have one guy that's been with me since my 3rd house. And we have our struggles, but we work very, very well together, and we just overcome, and we just keep growing and growing and growing. And our one biggest struggle was one time I said, I need you to do this, this, and this in this order. I had several houses, and I needed to get rid of these houses. So this is most important. I want you to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do not micromanage. Well, this is why I don't micromanage. And I went to a house and he wasn't there. And then I went to the first house, he wasn't there and hadn't done the work. I went to the second house, he wasn't there and hadn't done the work. I went to the third house. And these were all minimal things that I needed done. It's going to take you an hour. And I went to the 4th house, and they said, oh, he's been working here all day. And I just felt this flame rise up in me. And, he's, how do I say this very nicely? Kind of maybe from a different mindset than I am, a little bit more like he's the man. And he's not going to take orders from me. And, he's been doing this for 30 years, and who am I? I don't know anything. Let me say that's my perception. Okay. And this was, I had only been doing this full time for a couple of months. I had just left my marriage. I'm stressed. I don't really know what's going to happen, but I know that I don't like ramen noodles, and I need to have an income. And I know that you are slowing me down. I always say I like expensive purses and expensive perfume, and I need to be able to purchase those things. And so when I first left, I had said to him, like, I feel like you kind of put out part-time work and I need some full-time work. And God, we've grown since those days. So he wasn't there. He had went out to lunch. And when he came back, I just flipped shit. And I know he said something about he was the boss. And I had to tell him, like, you are actually not the boss. And I know that you have a problem taking orders from women or a woman being an authority. But the bottom line is my name is at the bottom of your check. So if we're going to work together, like, you're going to have to get used to this. And that was the only time I really acted like a total asshole. But I walked away from that day going, okay, I will not cut off my nose to spite my face. Like, this guy has gotten me through a lot of projects. How can I make this work better for him and for me? And I decided it was that I needed to take a little bit more of a back seat and not micromanage and not show up so much. I trust them. I know they're going to do what they need to do in the time. If he tells me he has a 4-week deadline, I know it's a 6-week deadline. I'm not going to stress it 4 weeks. I know it's 6 weeks. Like, I just had to take a step back and go, okay, how can I make this work for both of us? And it works really well. He's still with me. And I think that he will always be with me. He loves working for me. He says this is all he's wanted. You know, the whole time he's been doing this is to go from house to house to house. And I know when different people stop by to look at the house, he'll say to them, you know, she's a good person. She honors her word. He had told me from the get-go, like, all I want is to know that I have work. And I said, you will never be without work. And he has never been without work. I wanted him to slow down once just in between houses. And I said, just take a week off. And I paid him for a week off. And so he's my main guy, but he doesn't oversee any of the project except for the one that he's on.
So do you have any like is he like an employee, or you have any like team members like that? Or are they just all?
No, they're all 1099. Yeah. And then recently I started working with a company that's a smaller company, great guy. And I love this guy and I love the way he works because he isn't. So with my main guy, whose name is Scott, I pay him. He gives me a bid on the house. And then I pay him weekly. Like, he tells me how he wants to break it down. Probably because he's not the best money manager in his personal life. And I just say him, but it's actually him and 3 other people. But I only deal directly with him. But my other guy is the company, you know, he comes in, he gives me one bid. It's for all the materials and all the labor. And he takes care of all the subs. Like, I take care of my own subs on everything else. And you know, like if I need electrician, plumber, whatever. But this new guy I started working with does everything. And I love it. And it is amazing. It is great. And it makes life so easy.
So I want to kind of call something out. So like you said, one of the first projects you did, and this is like pretty amazing, like that you just kind of blew over this. Like you said, oh yeah, I dealt with a couple problems, you know, had a few crackheads. You just like kept going.
I mean, honestly, that is so different from where I am today. So I don't even know what was going on there. One day I had my daughter on a footstool with my daughter, who she's an adult. I guess at the time she was probably 27 or 28, on a footstool, or standing on an upside down 5-gallon bucket, taking out like the things that hang up the curtain rod with a drill and rubber gloves. Because she didn't want her to get her hands dirty. So she had on rubber gloves. I think the drill somehow caught her rubber glove. The rubber, you know, it went crazy. Like, I don't even know what was going on those first couple of houses. Like, I just don't. I had 13 guys. Like, one of them was bringing his kids in the house. Like, there was a bunch of kids. I don't even know. It was a mess. But you know what? I did it and I didn't give up. And I'm still here today. And I made money on both those houses. Thankfully, because if I didn't, I'm sure I would have quit.
And the reason I really wanted to call this back is so you dealt with all these obstacles, and really it was hey, I had a winner, I made a couple money, even if it was $5,000. On to the next one. Is that kind of like take me into your headspace?
On my first house, I think I made like 10 or 15 grand. And I always made at least 10. My first house that I didn't make 10 on was a house in Jennings on Main Street. It was horrible. It was so full of roaches, and they knew it was full of roaches when I bought it. They told me that, they had added exterminated, and the exterminator was going to come back again. This house had so many roaches that when we were taking blinds down, there was roaches crawling out of the hole. It was horrible. And nobody wanted to go in the house. And this is when I was still working myself. And I mean, whatever random contractor we might find on the street, my daughter and a cousin of mine. And then, my plumbing employees might come by and do something. But it was so bad. Nobody wanted to go in there. Like if you had a bottle of water, we left it on the porch. You didn't take your coat in. It was so disgusting. And then one day I was on vacation and my cousin had sent me a picture of the roach crawling out of the hole. And she was like, this is sick. And I said, oh my God, just leave. And the house was close enough to, we didn't do any, I had that house for 3 weeks. And I just filed for occupancy. We had painted it and filed for occupancy. And the occupancy inspector came, gave us a list of some things to do. Again, a mistake there. I had my daughter, she's not even involved at all nowadays, and she was then, but I had my daughter meet the inspector there, and she had a misunderstanding when he said something about stair tread or something. We replaced the wrong stairs, and now I show up to meet my inspectors. And I sold that house, and I made $4,600 on it. But it was because we did nothing. Nothing. And I just got the first buyer that walked up, it's yours, gone, done. Yeah. I would not buy a roach infested house today. I also bought a cat hoarder house once. I would not buy a cat hoarder house today.
So you wouldn't buy it, or you'd have to.
I would not buy a cat hoarder house or a roach infested house today. We've leveled up a bit, but I made money.
So it's funny as you say that, and I don't believe you.
Oh, I totally did. I totally did.
Saying, if I offer
you don't think I wouldn't buy it?
Well, yeah, if you're able to get $1,000 a cat hoarder house for $1,000, and you could sell it for $100 with 20 in repairs or something, would you buy it or not, Gayle?
I'd buy it. I bought this cat hoarder house, and I didn't know. I knew it smelled super bad, but I'm just happy to buy houses. And this is when I first started. I'm just really happy to buy houses. And I go there, and there's I think 9 cats on the front porch. And I was like, it's really weird. There's all these cats on the front porch. And I go around to the back, and there's more in the back. And I was like, what in the world? And then I go inside, and I'm really looking around. And, the house was full of stuff when I bought it originally. And now the house is not got a lot of stuff in it, just a little, but I'm like, there's no stove, but where the stove belongs, there's litter boxes. And you could tell they've been here forever. And they had this weird door going downstairs. It was really thick metal. And the wood on it was like a toothpick. It had been scratched so much. And I was like, the smell is so bad. It literally is going to throw me into an anxiety attack. So I called the wholesaler, which was actually a company that I bought it from, and said, can you tell me about the cats here? Just because I'm developing relationships and this guy's become my friend. What's the story with the cats? And he was like, oh, it was a cat hoarder house. I was like, yeah, there's so many cats outside. Those are the ones that got away when the cat rescue people came in and they were trying to catch them with nets. He said, I think we took 60 to 90 cats out. What in the world? It took us a really long time to get rid of that smell. We got rid of it, and I sold the house. And I made money on it.
Yeah, especially cats, their urine is you almost ends up to just rip almost everything out of the house and start new again. Yes.
Luckily, my contractor would do this for a really long time. He made some mixture of something and literally sprayed everything in the entire house down. Everything. Even went in the basement and sprayed the floor joists. Yeah. I sold that house for more money than I thought I was going to sell it for.
That's amazing. I
think I wanted to sell it for 40, and I think I sold it for 46.
So you have all this good stuff going on. You're thinking about getting into higher price points. Why don't we, if we look into the future, let's say 2 years from now, what do you think you've accomplished in real estate?
Honestly, I would love to have some kind of passive income. So I don't know. Honestly, it's probably rentals. That's not what my mentor necessarily teaches, but I need to have passive income. I would love to have a day when I choose to do this. Today, I need to do this because this is my income. This is what supports me. I don't have an option. I would love to choose to do this and derive my income from somewhere else. Also, I love people, and people are my passion, and inspiring people is really my purpose, I believe. Real estate is not my end game. So I don't know what my end game is, but it's not real estate. And I don't intend to ever believe it, but there is definitely more that I desire to do.
I love that. So maybe starting to coach people or mentor, or what do you
Probably
think?
mentor, and maybe not necessarily in real estate, maybe just about mindset, changing your life. I came from a very dark place compared to where I live today, and people can do that.
So
people can change their life.
okay, if you were mentoring or like giving yourself advice when you were, I mean, Gayle, you're a fast talker and you breezed over. We've gone through a lot, right? I mean, you mentioned that literally every single day you were so miserable, like in your previous life, that you were crying, right?
Yes.
Like just not happy with your marriage and not happy with your job. It sounds like too, as far as just the type of stuff.
Yeah, I felt very, very trapped and stuck, and I saw no way out.
So, what would be what would be the advice you would give your previous self that was going through that now, knowing what you know now?
This is only one little blip in time, and show up, just show up, do the right things, believe in yourself, know your worth, and face your fears.
I love that.
Yeah. And whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. One day I was out to lunch with a girlfriend, and this was like years ago. And she said something about me being confident. And I said, I have no confidence, like zero. And she said, that's so weird because people who don't know you wouldn't see you that way. And she said, what do you have to do to be able to believe in yourself? I never even thought about this. Like I never gave it zero thought. I just blurted out, I need to be single and self-supporting. And then I went, wow, that's really weird. And I don't really know when this shift happened because, like I said, when I left, I did not believe in me. I thought, what in the world did I just do? And but somehow it shifted. And I do believe, well, I know how it shifted. I worked on myself. I changed my mindset. Sean told me one day, look at yourself in the mirror every day and tell yourself, I'm the badass that everybody thinks I am. I'm confident. I'm all these things. I didn't look in the mirror because that was a little bit creepy. But I did say those things to myself over and over again. And I just changed my mindset. I changed the way I thought. I changed the way I feel about myself. I learned to believe in me. I learned to give myself credit. I don't give myself enough credit, but I do. I manifest. I believe in abundance. I surround myself with the right people. Put yourself out there. Stay in your lane.
What's interesting is for like a guy like me, when I hear the word like a manifest, like it makes me cringe a little bit. It's like, manifest, really? And then I work on my vision. I create what I want, like first in my mind, and then it starts to happen. Yes. So regardless of whatever you call it, like I might use like a vision, have a vision, like regardless of what you call it, there is something special when you just decide who you're going to be, what you're going to be about, what your purpose is, and what the purpose of your business is.
Yes.
And you get it all on pen and paper. And
don't stress about it. Like I started to say this and I got off subject, but one of the things that my friend had told me, she had learned on the rehab we just sold last week was, don't sweat the small stuff. Like just trust the process. I'm not a problem solver. I'm a solution finder. Like on that project, people wanted to bicker back and forth, like who was at fault for the plumbing being on the wrong side of this wall and blah, blah, blah. And it just like, it infuriates me. And I just go like, do you all want to stand here and blame one another? Or do we want to find a solution? Because like I find solutions and I walk forward. I'm not going to stand here with y'all while you try to figure out who's at fault. I don't have time for that. Like I don't have the brain space for that. Like, let's just keep going. And know that it's going to work out because everything is going to work out exactly how it's supposed to. I am 100% sure of that.
I love that headspace. It's amazing. Like what I just was with a like we're doing a decent amount on like kind of creative financing, like subject twos and things like that right now. And we're having team members and we're trying to train our team members, get them up and going and on how to do these type of deals. And I get a lot from the team members like, well, I don't really know like how to do it. And I just was last week, I was with a homeowner, and like literally I just told her the amount of money she could make from doing it this way. I didn't tell her how or anything like that. And she said, sign me up, I'm good. And it's like literally like I could have like known nothing about how to do this and just told her the end result of the money. And she would have signed up. So like, I agree. It's like, I think we get it in our heads.
Yes.
We get in our own way, like way too much.
Yes.
I agree with you.
We are our biggest obstacles and our biggest rehabs. Yes.
So do you see yourself ever wanting to do kind of some more higher end stuff, or do you think this is like the niche for you that matches you?
I'm happy with where I'm at right now. Like, if you do the higher end stuff, my mindset, what I've been taught is like, if I'm going to take 6 months and I'm going to do this bigger project, in the amount of time that it takes you to do that bigger project and the amount of money for that rehab, like I could do 6 times the amount. Like we try to get it in a house in 4 weeks.
So the other thing too with those bigger projects is the amount of details you have to go through. Like you really have to nail the details.
Yes.
And that might mesh with, that may not be kind of your personality per se either. Mm-hmm. Like knowing that about yourself, like I like to get in and out and be done and,
right.
and on.
So yeah, we're higher volume than I think that could afford us to do. However, I put my personal life through a sifter several times and like got rid of stuff, got rid of people, places and things. And my sifter got real fine. And now I am in a total place of peace in my life, almost kind of like euphoric. And I just in the past couple of weeks kind of exhaled and went, okay, I've never in my entire life felt so at peace. Now it's time to do the same thing with my business. And I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but that's why I'm going to go back down to the two crews. And I think I probably will buy maybe a couple more houses in November or December, but I think I'm kind of done for the year. I learned from last year that in November and December, I was stuck with about 4 houses that I needed to sell and couldn't sell. And I was stressed. But come January 1st, they were gone. And I don't want to be in that same position again. So as long as the two crews that I'm working with, I have houses for them to work on, like I want my plate to be clear come October. And so I don't know exactly what my business looks like. I was also going to start a podcast, nothing to do with real estate. I was going to start a blog. So I think like I want to take some time to do those things.
That's amazing.
I'm still going to be here because I need to buy new purses, but I'm ready to maybe do a couple other things too.
So, I mean, this is amazing, Gayle. Your mentor, Sean, he's got to be so proud of you. I'm proud of, I know we don't have a big track record together. This is the first time we've really talked. Anytime I meet someone that is taking such massive action, I just feel so happy for you, Gayle. Awesome job with it. Seriously.
I appreciate that. I am so grateful for Sean. And it's just weird. Like that's proof the right people show up at the right time. Like I was just trying to buy a house and, I could still be miserably married for 4 more years. That would be so horrible. I don't even know if I would make it. And I give him a lot of credit, but I also know that I'm due the credit, but I would not be here in this time if it wasn't for him. Not in this way. There's no way. And, but I did it and I am thankful. And I know that when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
And in this case, it appeared because you got into action mode and we're trying.
Yes, I was going to be a landlord.
Yeah.
I was going to have a house in Glasgow Village. And I don't have any, and I make way more money than I would have made if I was a landlord. And I don't have properties I have to worry about, property managers. I don't have any of that. So it is something I want to do, but it works out well for me because my divorce was very amicable. There was nothing to fight over. I didn't want to hold any extra assets while I was going through that. And my divorce was just final in July. So we'll see what's next.
We'll see what's next. Well, I wish you the best, Gayle. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that's a wrap. Don't forget, if you're out there like Gayle is trying to make this whole real estate thing work, trying to figure it out, don't forget that we help people just like you crush their fears and get to the next level every single day, and we can help you too. For more information on this episode and additional resources that we have, just go to doorstodeals.com/061. Whether you're wholesaling a deal, we'd love to buy it or help you package it and structure a deal that you may think is dead. So go to doorstodeals.com/061 for that. If you need funds, if you need some cash to put together deals, we have that available. And then if you're an agent trying to figure this whole investing game out and trying to take your business from where it's at to a higher level, we can help you too. So go to doorstodeals.com/061. And that's a wrap, guys. So don't forget, go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock doors to deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.